Here's Brody Brazil.
Here in the present, it seems like when we recall the A's departure from Oakland, we focus on the things that happened at the very end. What were the final talks and negotiations with the city of Oakland? What did Major League Baseball do or not do to help this franchise stay past 57 years? But I actually want to take it back to something that Commissioner Rob Manfred said almost 10 years ago. And I remember when this press conference happened. I don't remember if there's video evidence of him saying this or not, or how he was quoted, but I do remember exactly what Manfred said. And I remember this coverage by Bill Shakin in the Los Angeles Times. This is July 12th, 2016. The headline goes, Baseball Commissioner Rob Manfred says MLB would regret it if the Athletics left Oakland. Now that hit a certain way back then, but it hits even differently and a lot deeper now that we know how this all played out. And we know that baseball didn't really stop it from happening. You would have thought back then, hearing this, it was an added layer of insurance and security and some stability that even if things didn't go well between the team and the city and the county, that baseball would kind of jump in and smooth it out. Maybe like they're doing in Tampa, or maybe not. But this kind of felt like an additional promise. Like there was rooted in Oakland as a promise. There was also this kind of as a promise that certainly never came to fruition. Let me get to the article here by Bill Shakin, again, in the LA Times, July 2016. If a professional sports team considers moving from a city, the sports league generally warns the city would come to regret it. On Tuesday, Major League Baseball Commissioner Rob Manfred warned that the league would regret it if the Oakland Athletics moved from the city. Yeah, it was pretty bold for him to go out there and say this, quote, I am committed to Oakland as a major league site, Manfred said Tuesday. If we were to leave Oakland, I think 10 years from now, we would be more likely than not looking backward, saying we made a mistake. But we're not exactly at 10 years yet. But 10 years from July 2016 is only next summer. Is Rob Manfred going to feel differently about this next summer? I guess we'll see how this summer plays out and next spring play out. And maybe he eventually will feel exactly this way. Maybe he already does feel this way about the situation, but certainly can't and won't admit that. This is a quote from Rob Manfred, who again did not necessarily appear at all to stabilize or protect the situation in Oakland, kind of only let it disappear out of the market. Manfred's comments are rooted. It's funny that they use the word rooted. This was even before Rooted in Oakland was a campaign yet. And that's another thing to consider, right? This was baseball kind of jumping in and having their opinion before the A's even had an opinion on staying. Manfred's comments are rooted in demographic reality in Oakland and elsewhere, as the cost of living in the Bay Area becomes prohibitively expensive in San Francisco and its southern peninsula. Growth and gentrification have boomed in Oakland and the surrounding East Bay. And it's interesting that that was in a time where the economy was doing better. The Bay Area may have been a little bit more productive and fruitful, and obviously a pandemic changed all of that. So it's interesting that was a focus and that was a concern and that was a reason why maybe the A's would even think about being elsewhere. Quote, I think Oakland is more likely than not to be a better market 5 years from now than it is today, Manfred said at a meeting with the Baseball Writers Association of America. So I certainly have not given up on Oakland. Well, at that point, 2016, like Howard Terminal wasn't even in the conversation yet. Given up on Oakland, when did the A's actually put forth an effort to try and stay and build something new? And how could he give up if there was nothing? This all seems different now. If this was said in 2019, okay, haven't given up on what they're trying to do. But even that was kind of in its infancy in terms of an A's effort. So why would you even think about giving up when the A's had yet to put forward anything tangible that could ever be moved on? And thinking that Oakland is likely to be a better market in 5 years from now in 2016, again, who would have known that a lot changed in the year 2020 alone? So it's a hard thing to go back on that part, But the other part is still an interesting, the whole if we leave, it'll be a mistake in 10 years. There's no denying what he said. With the San Francisco Giants refusing to yield their territorial rights to San Jose, the stadium site long preferred by A's ownership, Manfred has directed the A's to focus on Oakland, whether on the current Coliseum property or elsewhere in the city. And again, this is pre-Howard Terminal. This is pre-Peralta site. And this is the commissioner saying that you should also explore the Coliseum. And it's funny because once the A's decided that they didn't want to do that, even after buying half the land, then baseball called it a non-viable site anymore without real explanation. And again, if the commissioner feels differently, I would invite the commissioner to go back on his statement, show us the math of why it's different, how it changed, what changed. And if you can prove that something tangible changed and meaningful changed, then you can take your statement back. But until you do that, it's hard to have that statement out there and see things go the opposite way, and then you're not responsible for your statement. Although the team's search for a new ballpark has entered its third decade, under various ownerships and various sites, the league's reluctance to abandon the market almost certainly reflects the lack of viable alternatives in the United States. Think about that for a second. The article is basically suggesting here that, there's not anything else pressing or there's not any other good places they could go, so they're not trying to force the A's out of Oakland. Now, has that changed? Las Vegas has been a booming city since 2016. That part hasn't changed. So all of a sudden it's a viable alternative? Manfred has said Montreal and Mexico City are two prime candidates should MLB pursue expansion or relocation. Oh, really? See, even that part has totally changed. And again, maybe some of these things have played out differently. But I think the main initial part is we can do the math on some of these things. I don't think baseball's ready to expand at all right now. I don't know that the commissioner will admit that, but we can clearly kind of see through that. On Tuesday, in July of 2016, Manfred said expansion would not be considered until the stadium situations in Oakland and Tampa Bay are resolved. Here we are 10 years later. You've got the A's and Rays now devolving into playing in minor league ballparks this season, probably next season and beyond. Who knows if the trop gets fixed? Who knows how long it's going to take the A's for whatever they want to do next? The Rays are exploring options for a new stadium. Since then, their roof has been ripped off. Owner Stuart Sternberg has said he would not move the team, but would consider selling it to someone who would. Like Orlando in 2025 when Tropicana Field had the roof ripped off and you're being pressured to sell the team and you can't get a deal done in Tampa or St. Pete. So now maybe you'll sell the team to an ownership group in Orlando. Just maybe. And just maybe Las Vegas is now a viable market. And just maybe Major League Baseball will regret it if the A's left Oakland within 10 years. So yeah, that was said by the commissioner. And as I've stated before in this video, if he were ever to come back and show his math on that, why he feels different. And it can't just be, you saw what happened. No, I don't know what you're talking about. Which part? Explain it, spell it out, and then I can have you take your statement back. We can take this headline away if you can show us the math on what changed. But until then, the commissioner still said this, and I still believe it. That's the end of this video. Thumbs up down below. Don't forget to subscribe. See you back here next time.